Hello and welcome back. We're going to have a look at this great tank locomotive this week. Don't know whether you remember a couple of videos back or so, I showed this as an item I was kindly given for Christmas. Let's have a quick glance at the box. We've got the info on the end of it there. Hopefully we can get that in focus. R.062, BR class 4P, 262 tank loco. I think this comes from around 1982 to 84. Terrific looking model. I think there was an LMS maroon version before this. R.055 came along in 1980, I think. We'll have a closer look at the box a bit later on. So we will get her out of the sidings in a little while, and we'll get around the railway doing a couple of jobs perhaps, and we'll get these red and cream coaches from the station. But firstly, we're going to move these ferry vans back into the sidings. I've renumbered provisionally. I'm not quite sure I'm going to keep this numbering system for the last set of points I put in. It may well change, and I've redrawn the diagram, but I'm still getting used to the way these work at the moment. Pretty good fun with them. But I was mentioning last week that the reversing or backing up of these ferry vans wasn't very reliable. I didn't have the elastic band on it. I have, if you have a look at the insert picture, found some elastic bands which do the job. So I'm going to attempt to try and back those, or continue backing those into the siding. So hopefully I've got this all set up in the correct direction. Oh, and then we'll get the Pullman service put away as well. So that's currently sitting on the elevated section there. So let's give this a little bit of power. So let's have a look at the engine to start with. Great green class 31 there. Got that in the wrong direction. So let's see if we can get that into the sidings. But just listen as she comes towards the nickel-silver section of the track there. And I pointed out that last week as she was going forwards, but she had a little more momentum. So she's got no traction at all on this section there. So I'm just going to push that gently over so we get the drive wheels back on steel. There we go. And I think we should be good there. Let's give that another go. I must take that piece out. A little bit further, I think. Just about there. So we've got all sorts of stuff standing around in the background there, tripods and hoovers and things. So we're all the way down the sidings there. So doors are vibrating open a little bit. So I have been fooling around with this on the railway this morning, trying to get this set up. Now what I need is the uncoupler. So let's just reach over here and see if I can do this one-handed. It sort of worked this morning when I was giving it a go. There we go. Now let's change the direction on that locomotive and see if we can move back out. I'm just going to grab the uncoupler before I forget it. I might need that again a little bit later on. The problem with these always being in black is they do blend in when you put them down on the railway. So we'll just try and put that back next to the controller. There are reproductions of these available. I can never remember the number of these, but is it on the back of them? Somebody always asks when I show this. So that is that R.062? Can we see that? So strangely, these were dropped from the catalogue very, very early on, but they are one of the most useful tools. They really are a great idea. So it'd be nice to see more reproductions of those. So what we want to do is get this class 31 into the refuelling area. So we'll open number 1B and 2B. I think we're good for the next bit. Let's give that a go. And then we want 1R. I think we'll have to swap controllers there. I think the other points are all set. Yeah, I just had a glance over my shoulder. Best laid plans. They weren't all set. It's just these things are an awful lot easier when you haven't got a camera in your hand. There we go. That should make matters a bit better. Change the direction again. I think that'll do there. So let's fiddle with some point work again. So we want 1B closed for now. Actually, we don't. We want it open. We want 3G. There we go. And 1R. So we're going to bring the Pullman service down off the elevated section. So there it is sitting up there waiting. So let's give that a go. So we're going to put that into the sidings as well. Nice smooth runner. We saw this a couple of weeks ago, I think, with the collet style coaches. We've got her on the Pullman service today, King Edward I. I think we need to back off that power just a little bit. I left that box a little close to the track. And let's bring that up towards the bridge. Now, we just need to check what we're going to do next. So, points 8 are set good. 1Y set good. So I need to change 2W is the next one to do. So, let's have a look. Reassuring click in the background, and let's see if we can run that into the siding now. See if we can get up a little bit for a better look. So I've swapped controllers and I'm in the wrong direction. So we'll just bring that a little further along. I think we're all safe in there. So what we'll do now is get the tank locomotive and get those Pullman coaches, and we'll put them in this siding here. So again, another good plan. So we're going to isolate the King just there with number 3B. And we'll get the uncoupler. So 3B, so that should isolate that, he says, hopefully. And we'll see if we can deal with the uncoupling to start with. So again, one-handed. This is a little more complicated than perhaps it needs to be. And I'm just going to, for the ease, I'm going to push those backwards a little, just to give a bit of breathing space. So now let's get the tank locomotive out of the siding here at the station. She's sitting in front of the Pullman. So we've got 1B already open, 2B needs to shift. So that means I've got a direct line all the way through there. So I'm hoping that we'll have some action from the tank locomotive now, although I can't remember which direction she's going to go in. So let's have a look. Correct direction. Wonder how she'll do with all of this point work. I have had a couple of derailments with that rear truck on this locomotive. Especially under load. So let's slow that down, see if we can crawl up there. There we go. Yeah, I think sometimes when you've got a lot of weight, this rear bogie or truck just pulls over, like a little bit like when you've got loads of wagons going around a tight curve. It doesn't quite like it. I was experimenting with some suburban coaches. I'm going to play with those, but they're very heavy, my Suburbans, and the wheel flanges are far too deep for this track. Most of the coaches date back to the late 50s, early 60s, so let's see if we can pull these out of the siding now. So I've changed the direction, and we're definitely not coupled up to the King. So let's give that a run. Squeaky controller again. Yeah, there's that front bogie going that time. Not very happy on that point work. It has an odd... It's not a direct pivot, it's got two pivots on it. And it's sometimes a bit like the IVAT. When it's running, it looks like the wheels are actually set at an angle across the rails rather than running parallel to the rails. The IVAT, I think, suffers from that as well. It's not always as happy as it could be on the point work. So let's pull that through. So a little bit more power. So actually, I've gone far too far without changing some points, so let's just back that up a little bit. A little bit of wheel spin there. So I want to change 2B, let's change hands as well. There we have it, so that'll take us onto the inside line. We don't want to go on the elevated section, so we'll switch that one. So let's see if we can get her underway again. Let's keep an eye on those bogies. So I think we're all the way on the inside line now. We'll just creep around past the western there. We'll just bring those coaches past those points near the signal box. There we have it. So I think what we need now is number 3Y there, and then we can back these coaches in here. So let's give that a go. Sorry, I'm going to have to turn around and look. I can't do this without looking, so it's 3. There we go, and then we want to reverse the direction on the controller. Let's see if we can hold it up and have a look. I think that's probably a good place to stop because it's quite long with the 5 coaches there. Actually, we do have just a little more space back there, so perhaps we'll just we'll nudge that backwards just a little bit more. There we go. So grab the decoupler again, and we'll pop that in there. That hasn't done a very good job there, has it? It's still grabbing hold. There we go. I'm Just worried about that. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think we're all on. So perhaps it's a little bit light, that part of the locomotive. So we want to change direction here. So again, the concentration is on two things at once here. Let's stop that there and we'll just seal those points where we've just come from. And then we'll come through here, or through number 7 and back up to the station perhaps. So let's throw number 7, let's get back a little wider. And then we'll continue through there. And then we'll close those. And number 8 is still open, so we want to change the direction. And we're on half wave here, by the way. Sorry, I'm losing view of the engine there. And 1Y wants to also change. So I think we've got a direct line back to the station now to pick up the those red and cream or crimson and cream coaches. So here we go, a little power. Slowing down a little bit there on the approach to that diamond crossing. Got quite a bit of point work to cross here. And we'll slow that down so we don't crash into everything. Let's just crawl back there. Maybe a little quicker. I've gone the wrong way. There we go. And let's pull that lot out. Again, the concentration between what's actually happening in motion and what you're doing, controlling the camera and where it's going, is quite a complicated thing. Yeah, I have to admit, all that turning around and everything, I've just completely lost it in which direction to turn the controller. As you can see, I'm struggling enormously with the concentration there. My hand just keeps, I keep turning things the wrong way when I'm turning around and looking the other direction and trying to turn back and use the hand. So let's give this a little power and we'll just have a run around the outside line, and we'll just tighten that up a little bit so perhaps we can have a little bit better look at the model in action here. Let's see if we can just slow her down just a little. She is quite lively on the controller. disappearing behind the station. Let's see if we can drop down a little bit and have a look here. Crossing the diamond crossing. Let's have a look underneath the elevated section here. So we had a pretty good look at the box just a little bit earlier on in the video. It's fairly tatty and done its job. There's the information on the end of it. So we'll just extract the contents and pop that down. And just put that down because the polystyrene tray is in two parts. There we've got the face card. Terrific image on there. See that a bit better without too much of a shine on it perhaps. We'll pop that down to one side. Now we don't really have full paperwork with this model, but it does come with 01 module fitting instructions, although it does cover quite a number of locomotives, that one. We'll have a quick look at that a bit later on. So if I lift off the top part of the polystyrene tray, you can see it's a tiny bit of oil or rubbing marks at the bottom where the wheels go. So if I pop that over there, and then we'll just lift this up and have a quick look over it. So fairly nice condition. I believe it's probably a painted finish. So it hasn't done too much running from what I can see. It's run, but it's I think probably just once or twice around the track, probably in its life. Let's just pop that down for a second. We'll see if we can extract this. I was wrong, it does still have its vacuum pipes. There they are in the packaging with the crew unpainted, just in black plastic by the looks of it. We'll pop that down, and I think what we have here is alternate numbers for the side of the tank. The transfer sheet still seems to be intact with that bit of sort of grease-proof paper over the top of it there, but I think we'll leave those. I don't intend on changing the numbers, and we'll have a quick look over the model and see if I can lift this out. I don't want to handle it too much as it has this lovely paint finish, and I think it's a bit more delicate than the normal all-over plastic with a bit of paint, bright paint sloshed on it effect than some of the earlier models. Great coal load there, isn't it? I think those brass safety valves may be separately fitted. Definitely a bit of tarnish there. Let's have a look at those windows in the front. I think we've got some glazing in there as well, haven't we? Let's have a look at that. Let's just have a glance at the back of the cab there. We've got glazed windows with what looks like bars on, and bars on the down the back of the coal bunker there, as well as some steps. So let's just have a look down the side. It really is quite a lovely condition. Loads of detail around here. And I think that silver works a bit bright on the smoke box door, but perhaps it does just lift the model a little. Let's see if we can just turn that around a little bit. Bright red buffer beam, a little bit of detail on there. Again, it's quite a terrific thing. I think there is some cab detail, but it is very, very difficult to see. If I can get a better insert picture for that, I'll try and pop that in there on the right hand corner. I'll see what I can do with that. Another look at the back edge of that coal bunker. We've got a piece of polystyrene there, and you can see where the vacuum pipes would go in there. Let me see if I can actually, let's look across the top of the tank again while we've got the light at this angle. So it really is full of tremendous detail, isn't it? Let's have a swift look along the underside of the model. It does have that plastic part on the valve gear, which I think is a real shame with these models. And if you look at that front truck or bogie, you can see how it sort of has two pivot centres. So I don't know whether that's an effort to try and get the wheels at the right angle to the rails, but you can see the wheels have hardly got any wear on these at all. Let me see if we can just have a quick look a little bit further along the model there. And we've got some writing on the bottom here. We've got made in Great Britain there. And there is that rear truck that's fixed from the centre. I don't think that's probably quite heavy enough. As I said, I have had a few derailments along with the odd one with the front end running over the point work. It is quite light, and it does get a bit of a bounce. Let's just have a quick look over the chassis. If you have a look at that motor, as you can see, I was saying earlier on, I don't think it's really done very much running at all. You have a look here, just behind this rear drive wheel, you've got the magnet for the magnet adhesion there. You can see the pickups for the collection of the power running down behind the wheels there. Let's have a look on the back side of the wheels there. You can see that lovely spoked wheels, very, very shiny. As I say, I think it loses a bit of its traction due to the slipperiness of those drive wheels. The valve gear is quite pretty, apart from the plastic part. I think the plastic part's always sort of let it down. Let's have a quick look over the other side there. See, she is really in really beautiful condition. There's that rear bogie. We just seem to be caught. There we go. So that moves nice and freely there, perhaps too freely sometimes. So that I have had that jump in the rails with a very heavy load behind her. And there's that front bogie, that pivoting effect there. So again, I've had one or two occasions where that's jumped. I think we had one in the video earlier on. But there's quite an interesting part here. See, this area here, I believe, is designed for the 0.1 chip to fit in on its side. If I pop this down, and we'll have a look at these instructions. Actually, I'm just going to wipe my fingers because it's the metalwork of that body is really quite sticky. I think it must be original, be like greased or treated with something in the factory. But it's just very, very sticky. So let's have a look at that. So there was the 0.1 chips, suggesting the connections and how they run for a whole variety of models here. But we've got the model that we've got here. Although there is a slightly different design of the rear end of the chassis, the same principle applies. I think you could still fit the 0.1 chip on its side there, and it does indeed tell you to do that. And there's a depression in the cab floor, and when you look through the side of the cab, you can see that. Let's just pop that down for future use, perhaps. Let's just have a look on the underside of the cab there. I don't know whether you can see on the inside, you've got that raised area in the middle there, and if you look underneath, so I think that's for provision for lying the 0.1 chip on its side within the model. And this extra shiny bit here, that is a separately fitted part to achieve the cab detail. I think that just pushes in. It doesn't seem to pull out. I'm going to leave it alone. It's probably well glued. Just have a look at the curvature in the body here, where that goes down the side of the coal bunker, and there's a slight bit of rubbing on the side of the model there where it's been in the box, and I think that's rubbed against something over the years, but there's barely a mark on this. So there is a number down there, and it's a couple of numbers. I think that number's repeated, so I think that says L.062. Actually, no, it's not repeated. There's a separate number stamped into the bodywork down here. Let's see if I can read that one. It's L.52669. I think I need to move that for you to read, to be able to read that. That's just down there, and then there's something that looks like it might be heat printed into the body right down here. I think that's 221 perhaps, and a dot, or the start of another one. I don't know. Can you see that at this end here? There's where the screw holds the chassis in there, and then just the front of the chassis pokes into these two retaining holes there, And the buffers are separately fitted. They feel to be plastic. Again, I don't think we can get a great view into that cab. I'll see if I can get an insert, but it looks like it's going to be difficult to see what's going on inside there, to be honest. And I almost forgot to have a quick look over the service sheet. Seems we have it available here. We can see the pickups there, and this refers to the earlier model 055, which was the LMS version, but same workings on the inside from what I've read. You can see the wheel arrangement here. It seems to be on separate bearings in the chassis. Makes it a much smoother runner, and we've got that bottom plate there which just clips into place. You can see the side view of the chassis with it all clipped together there. So it's always quite nice to have these sheets. There's the screw that holds the chassis into the body there, into the plastic body. There is the tiny little screw there. I don't know whether we can see that. So that's just a flathead screw there. And then we get a list of parts on the other side there, and a space for notes. And if you want to know more about the motor in it, tells you need service sheet 81B. We'll have a quick look over the coaches. Just two of the coaches in the rake have their original boxes. We've got R.062, the composite, so I have three of those coaches, one with its box, and the brake has its box R.438. Now these came along in 77, and I believe the variant we're looking at today lasted between 77 and 79 in 1980. They got an all-over paint finish, so these are the ones. These will be moulded in yellow plastic and then just sprayed up with red, whereas from 1980 the yellow and the red and the roof were all a spray painted effect. Much neater, I imagine. There we're looking through on the corridor side there on the brake, so this is 438. Have a look on the bottom, there's a little detail there. If I turn that around, you can see we do have the made in Great Britain there, and then Hornby. And they do run really very smoothly, these coaches. They make a lovely sound when they're running on the rails. They do have the plastic couplings which are all moulded in part of the bogies, so it makes them quite strong, and they do survive some rather harsh couplings. So they have done a fair bit of action or work on the railway in their life. I think some of the paintwork is fairly worn through. You can see on the bottom edge there you've got wear through, and I think some of the others on the railway perhaps even a little more worn than this one. Again, looking through on the corridor side there, and that lovely chromed effect at the top, and that paint on the roof really is quite matte, isn't it? So just catching up with her now as she passes the station. Great blue and grey coaches sitting there at the platform. Bobo Electric waiting to get underway. But I think that's for another day. Into the curves, under the gantries, and off into the distance there, gathering a little bit of pace. And I think we're going to take some power out of that and bring it gently to a stop just before we get to points 1B here. There we go. So I think we're going to plan to go over the elevated section. So at the moment, where she's sitting, just by 1B, so we get the camera to catch up. We're sitting here, so we're going to go through here onto the blue, which is the inside line from a very short period, and onto the green section, the elevated section, all the way back round, and I think that'll probably be it for today. That's 1G is the drop back onto level ground. So I think 1B is the first one, 2B is still set correct, so we need 1G, that's the one in the far distance, 3G, that's just to the right of the controllers, just there. So I think we're all set and ready to go. So let me see if I can give that a little bit of power. Sorry, I haven't got the engine in shot at all here, so let's get her underway. And there she climbs, tiny bit of wheel slip. She does have the magnesium, but just loses out a little bit with the plating on the wheels, I think. And there she goes, she's back on the level now. And we'll cross the girder bridge, picking up a little power. We'll take a little bit out of that just so she doesn't tear away too much on the way down. And onto level ground. And there she goes. Well, let's just bring her to a stop just before we get to the first set of points we're at, number 1B. So we'll just take out a little power now. There we go. So if I change the point work again, we'll just pop her onto the inside line, I think. So we'll get rid of that. So now she should just run through this point work, and instead of going through here onto the elevated section, she'll just trundle along here and off onto the inside line. So away we go. See if we can look underneath, catch up with her and the coaches. Off into the distance there, behind the engine shed. And we're going to have to begin to think about bringing this to a stop. I think that's probably it for this week. Thanks again for watching, it really is hugely appreciated. Hope you've enjoyed seeing this model in action. She's a little bit lively from time to time, but a great looking addition, I think. I'm so pleased I eventually got one. Thanks again. Goodbye now. Hello again, it wasn't quite the end. When I went to make the thumbnail picture for the video, I noticed there was a problem with the buffer there. I hadn't spotted that. I don't know whether anybody else spotted it throughout the video. I picked it up at around 24 minutes in when I was watching the video back, once completed. I had some replacements in stock, and the Hornby number is S8910, and I'd got these from a well-known online store. I think they're actually reproductions. As you can see, there was a spring stuck behind it, and there's the offending buffer there with the silver paint on it, and there's the reproductions. I think I don't think they're genuine Hornby ones, but they do the job quite nicely. But that really is it this time. Thanks a lot. Goodbye now.